Good evening, everyone. This is 1,058 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. And of course, he didn't just vanish, something happened. And our suspicion, well, it's not even a suspicion, it is just laying down the facts, looking at what happened. And on day 3, so Richard goes missing on July 23rd. By July 25th, the search for Richard's called off. Now, why do I say that? They're supposed to contact family. They're supposed to, if they call off the search of your missing soldier, they're supposed to let you know and give you reasons. And that should all be in a file. When they called off Richard's search, they needed to document that into the file. We need that. That's very, very important. And why do we say that? Because nothing happened. Um, when we found out a month later, more than a month later, that Richard was missing, that Richard was a deserter, which is very, very odd. That Captain Yoshida would say that. He was shaking. He was shaken up. He was emotional. He was breaking up like into a cry mode. This is what Rob was telling me. Pat, it's like he's crying. And he got off the phone and he's like, he was breaking up. He's very emotional. What is going on, right? And of course, we were emotional by that time. And you don't think so straight when you're emotional. So this has been very, very difficult, especially doing these live streams every day. And you've probably seen the roller coaster ride, but that roller coaster ride is a restrained roller coaster ride, because we're trying to walk this this line between trying to grieve for our son, which we haven't been allowed to do, and search for our son and be the lead investigator for the disappearance of our son, to try to find our son. And at that time, we were told that Richard was a deserter, that he had been designated deserter. So that's the 28th of August. Okay, 28th of August, 2020. COVID is in full force, going into full force, mode there, which we believe was an attack on our country. We believe that the Department of Defense, including General McConville, General Garrett, General Mealy, you know, even unwilling participants or uncomfortable participants committed crimes against humanity with that whole COVID thing. I think that's very, very important for people to understand, because they absolutely knew. How do I know that they knew? Because we were in meetings with them. They absolutely knew that that they were up to no good. Okay? These were crimes against humanity. And if they are willing to commit crimes against humanity, then they are willing to do so much more. Okay? To do little things like cover up the murder of Richard. So here it is, August 28th. I've got to put the facts down. Captain Yoshida, Micah Yoshida, is very, very uncomfortable. He's an uncomfortable participant. So uncomfortable that it is a psychological warfare inside of him. Okay? Now he might want to say his part, and he can call me 941-677-0060. He can give his side. From what we heard on the phone, from what happened during that time, he sounded very upset, like he was going to cry. He was very emotional. Okay. That was on the 28th of August, 2020. A few days later, the 1st of September. The Fugitive Apprehension Unit. Well, let me back up just a few days. Okay, so here we're told that Richard is a deserter. We are told that he's off the rolls, that the Army can no longer help us. We are on our own. We reach out to our congressman. We are doing so much. I'm going to put out the timeline. We are calling everywhere, internationally, everywhere to help, including the El Paso Police Department. The El Paso Police Department say that they cannot help us because Richard is not in their jurisdiction. Okay? We're calling everywhere. We're getting no help at all. Then we get the Fugitive Apprehension Unit Day. They come to our house before we even knew that they were there. They are in their full tactical gear. They are in full battle gear. They are an assault unit. This is very important point that my husband wanted to make. They are an assault unit. Okay? They just don't come out to your house to come to your door and say, "Oh, can we come in and talk to you about your son?" And then you consent and let them come in. That doesn't happen. And any narratives that are out there that something like that happened is absolutely ridiculous, is insanity. It's just not reality at all. Okay? This unit is an assault unit. They come to arrest. They come to search. Search maybe for drugs. Search maybe for weapons. Search for anything about a crime, that evidence for a crime. So they'll get a search warrant. They might be searching for that criminal, or they have an arrest warrant, right? An arrest warrant to arrest the criminal. So they are in their full battle gear. They come to the house. They are an assault unit. They're called the Fugitive Apprehension Unit for the Sheriff's Department. And they decide to do their protocol, which means one of the deputies will go to the back of the house. They will go around the house. They will cover the door in the back of the house, and the other one will go to the front of the house because they are there to search. They are there to arrest. Okay? You don't want anyone running out the back door, evading arrest. Okay? So they're in their full mode. I'm in the back of the house. I look out my window. I see the deputy come around the house to our backyard where the lanai is. I see him, okay, in full battle gear. The doorbell rings. I go to the door. I am happy they are there. Even though they are intimidating, they are in full battle. This deputy that was at the door, 6'8" tall, a beautiful man, intimidating because he's strong. He is wearing, the whole, all the gear. But when you are a desperate mother, you're desperate for any help you can get. I did not stand in his way. I complied to what he was there for, to search and arrest, to search and arrest. In order to be there, a fugitive apprehension unit, in order to be there at our house, there has to be a probable cause for a warrant. In our minds, that was that Richard was a deserter. We did not know that at that same time that this was happening, the CID at Fort Bliss was entering in a yellow Interpol right there. A yellow Interpol. Okay? Now, something doesn't make sense because a yellow Interpol is a missing person. There is no urgency at all to find them. There is no urgency to use any kind of resources to search for them. They are no danger. They're just a missing person. It's just a list of missing person, just in case you find remains, just in case you find a missing person. You can go to the Interpol and identify them. That's all it is. It's a database. A red Interpol, however, does very different things. It says that that person is a wanted person, that that person is a fugitive, that that person has a warrant out for their arrest, that resources around the world need to be used in order to look for that person. Okay? So, what is it? What was the probable cause? Because I will tell you, when the deputy came to our house and when we cooperated with them, okay, so this is a cooperation. This is not anything but please do your job. Okay, we're not going to stand in your way. The job absolutely is to arrest, to search. The job is to apprehend. They are the Fugitive Apprehension Unit. This is a fugitive apprehension unit. This is not just some sheriffs or a police department coming to your door. So any narrative that says anything different, that they absolutely had to have a warrant to do what they were doing, if they're trying to give you a different narrative than that they had to have a warrant to do what they were doing, to come to our house and trespass on our property, to go to the back door, to be in full battle gear, to give the impression that they were there to arrest, that they were there to search. Isn't it, if someone's telling you that, they're trying to fool you, that they're just there like a police officer, or like, that they're not, that they don't need a warrant to do that. They absolutely need a warrant. And why is this such a big deal? Because they can't produce a warrant. We absolutely thought they had a warrant. I called him not too long ago and said, "Didn't you have a warrant?" And he's like, well, let me get back to you. What? I had an email. What? Where is the warrant? We want the warrant. And this is the thing. When you are in a family in a crisis, it's easy for everyone else to say, well, didn't you ask for it? Didn't you do this? Didn't you do that? No, we're in a crisis. We're in an emotional state, right? Very emotional state. But the Fugitive Apprehension Unit deputies are trained. They are trained. They know what to do. That's why we pay their taxes, because they know what to do. They know that they need to have a warrant. They know they need to produce the warrant. They know they should give us a copy of the warrant at the door. Okay? They're supposed to have our back. That's why we pay them. taxes. That's why we pay for their training, right? That's why we depend on them and trust them. And we cooperated with them. We cooperated with them because of a trust, because of a presumption that they are doing their duty. And they violated that. They violated our civil rights. They violated our trust. They did not use their training well. And I'm not saying they weren't nice. They didn't give us a hard time. All the emotions were good while they were there. They offered to help. And they were not afraid of Richard. They were not even expecting Richard. Matter of fact, I would say from the reaction, the experience I had with them, that they had no presumption or probable cause. They had no probable cause for even a warrant. So did they know that there was no probable cause, that there was no threat to the community, that there was no Richard there, that there was no Richard that was armed and dangerous, that he was no threat to us or anybody, that, did they know? Was that all for show? Now, if this is all for show, because see, we need to know about the reports from FBI man. Okay, this is FBI man Nadal Baim that reported that the FBI, because he's FBI, he also is the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel, who he told us, the Lieutenant Colonel told us. So the Lieutenant Colonel in the G3, which is a position that is, top secret position in operations, which is the heartbeat of the 32nd ADCOM, of the unit that is Richard's command, right? He's the one that told us that the FBI found Richard's remains in Mexico, that Richard is dead, found in Mexico. Okay? So we have this, that the FBI, I've worn this hat. Where is it? Is it right here? Yeah, this hat. Let's see if, I'll just show it to you. That says, is the FBI and the DOD hiding our son's remains? Because the father-in-law, right, that says he's with the FBI man, he's the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bugado of the G3, 32nd ADCOM. Richard's command. That's Richard's command. Okay? So I've been wearing that and asking this question. And is the FBI hiding the remains? Is the DOD hiding the remains of our son? Because legally, when you go through everything, nothing makes sense. Nothing was done right. Even Yoshida, the yellow Interpol, the lack of probable cause, the lack of a search warrant for our house. Now, this is a very big deal for us because that means that now we have a double case. We have Richard's case and all the violations, all the irregularities in that case. And now our case, our civil rights being violated. And in order to know, was there probable cause? Was there a warrant? Because they can't produce a warrant. Why wasn't there a probable cause? Why wasn't there a warrant? Why was there a show of intimidation? Because that's what that would be. When you come as a fugitive apprehension unit in full battle gear, and you split up and one goes to the front door, one goes to the back door, that is a show of intimidation, right? And we have nothing to hide, so we cooperated with them. Very kindly, we cooperated with them. We did not stand in their way. We did not give them any problems. And yet they violated our civil rights. And we need to know why. Why did they violate our civil rights? What is the judge that signed off on this so-called warrant? Now, there's no warrant that we know of, but there are the last so we got a lead that said in 2022, January of 2022, there were 15 warrants. Well, if we don't have a search warrant for our home, if there's no search warrant for the arrest of Richard, what are these 15 warrants? What judge signed off on them? What were the probable causes for these warrants? 15 warrants? That's big. And so yesterday, we put together, let's see if I can read from it. We put together a letter to the judge there at Fort Bliss, asking him the questions for these documents. And we wrote, "Dear Clerk of the Court," most judges have a clerk, right? Most judges have a clerk. This is a colonel. This is a colonel judge. He has to have a clerk. We're trying to be respectful in everything that we do. Can you imagine? Day 1058, and we're trying to be respectable. So what is happening is we're saying we're Robert and Patricia Halliday. We're the parents of PFC Richard Halliday, because, you know, Richard just was promoted twice real quick. The Vanessa Guillen the first absent soldier, the Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier, and also whistleblower, double whistleblower, and the Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier. Very big deals. Very big, because Richard is setting precedents, and that precedent doesn't look good for the rest of service members, volunteer sons and daughters of this republic. So Richard goes missing in July of 23rd, 2020. It's been 1,058 days today. He was honored to serve as a guidon bearer for his unit, Delta Battery 14388. And he was the Distinguished Honor Graduate for his cycles in basic training and advanced individual training. And we would like to exercise our right to access information and documents pertaining to our son's case. Why? Because our primary concern stems from the search conducted at our residence in Sarasota, Florida, which appears to have taken place without a warrant. We kindly request your assistance in providing us with the following information and documents: Richard's case file, the indictment or complaints of anybody, right? Court orders, court transcripts, plea agreements, sentencing documents, subpoenas and witness statements, appeals, and any kind of documents that pertain to the appeals, probable cause affidavits, search warrants, arrest warrants, affidavits in support of warrants, autopsy reports. We don't give the numbers. We're saying we want any autopsy report that was conducted in relation to Richard Halliday's case, right? They could deny that. They have not denied that, okay? They have not denied these autopsy reports. Witness testimonies, forensic reports, chain of custody, investigative reports, surveillance footage, because we've been told that they've been tampered with, we've been told some are missing, expert opinions, case updates. We kindly request that the requested information and documents be provided to us no later than June 23rd, 2023, right before Richard's birthday, because you know Richard's birthday is coming up. We'll walk that straight line. Don't get too emotional. Yeah. So we wrote that yesterday. We also wrote, which was also very important, we wrote Representative Torres, okay, which we CC'd Quantico and also General Popis and Major General Eisenhower and General McConville. And, you know, it's very, very interesting. Let me finish this up because my mind is going 100 miles an hour here. But we wrote Representative Norma Torres because the cold case and violent crimes unit in Quantico, so it's violent crimes, violent military crimes, and cold case in Quantico, is her baby. Okay, she has oversight of that. She's the one that got it going and funded it and all that. Got it funded. It's her baby. And so we wrote her because she's concerned. She's the representative from Chino, California. Chino, California, she covers that area, is the home of course, Austin Hawke and Enrique Roman Martinez. We mentioned Enrique Roman Martinez in this because he's in that cold case unit. Okay, his head was severed from his body by a hatchet, brutally. His eyes were poked out, his hair pulled out. His family only has his skull. You know what happened? Where's the investigation now? You know, I just have to mention that because I just can't even imagine the fugitive apprehension unit coming to their house. It's a terrible thing that families have to deal with this kind of not just incompetence or criminal activity. It's one or the other. One or the other. So we wrote to Representative Torres, and I should make sure that everybody's on. And this happened all yesterday. We wanted her to know about the irregularities in the cold case and violent crimes unit there in Quantico. We wanted her to know, be informed of what was going on. And so, oh, there I am. It's working. Okay. Thank you, Danielle. Request that the CAD report from the apprehension unit agency. Exactly. Thank you. That is public knowledge. What agency? And we've gotten all kinds of stuff. They cannot produce. They only had an email, and what they gave us was incomplete. So Rob had to. This is what people don't understand. You can't just request something. We requested the CPS complaint that Richard made. We requested to know why the IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday. And we get the runaround, or we get ignored, or we get delayed, or, incomplete files, the files from the archives that we got that let us know that Richard was promoted twice recently. Um, boom, boom, one right after the other. That is also incomplete. And we have to rewrite them and say, this is incomplete. We want all of it. Um, so the runaround is absolutely criminal. I will say that too. Dispatch logs, public knowledge, they need a warrant with a judge signature. Exactly. And we've requested the judge. Okay. We want to know who the judge is. There's no, as of yet, they can't produce a warrant. No, any warrant for what happened that day. Okay. And so we're dealing with that, but we're also dealing with the cold case and violent crime unit there in Quantico, who, um, let me list this. The cold case unit allowed a significant gap of inactivity in our son's case lasting over 15 months. Now, this cold case unit with violent crimes, right, was put into place because of Vanessa Guillen. That's why people need to know that Richard Halliday is Vanessa Guillen, the Vanessa Guillen first absent soldier. Okay? And they let a gap of 15 months. Now, this was not because there wasn't any leads, there was a huge lead. The unit failed to contact key witnesses and neglected important leads in the investigation. How often does an officer of the court become a key witness? Right? Name me. I don't think, I mean, this is why this case is also huge. And they ignored him. They ignored that key witness and other key witnesses, like the key witnesses that um, declare Dallas Hart being the platoon leader, right? What's all the autopsies, all the, why couldn't they look into it? But anyway, the unit has been unresponsive to our basic inquiries, failed to acknowledge our communications, copies of essential documents. What about FBI man Nadal Baim, the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bradford Bugado in the G3 of the 32nd ATCOM? What's going on there? Why couldn't they let us know? Why couldn't they give us those documents? Let us know what's going on. They're supposed to let us know. So the unit has not addressed conflicts of interest, like Tavita Nusa, CID Special Agent Tavita Nusa, having an affair with Leilani Hart, who confessed in a CID complaint that she notarized that Dallas Hart, as a first lieutenant in the United States Army, was having an incestuous affair while in their home in Leilani's master bedroom. A 7-year-old was being sexually assaulted. I don't know how many times, because it took almost 2 years for her to even report that. While in their home, long periods of time, child pornography. Um, you know, when are we going to say this is not something to tolerate, right? I mean, we have people even mistreating animals. Um, we have people mistreating babies, 7-year-olds. I'm walking that fine line, y'all. The unit has not addressed the conflicts of interest, even with Jay Paulin having his good buddy in the CID as a special agent, Ron Steig, Special Agent Ron Steig. We haven't gotten that back. Internal affairs complaints involving CID agents have been ignored by the unit. The unit has failed to visit the crime scene. The unit has failed to visit the crime scene. Yeah. Despite repeated threats against our family, the unit continues to demand that we provide leads while failing to ensure our safety. Yeah. And the cold case unit has neglected to address retaliation by a key suspect against a key witness. Those are huge. And we thought that Representative Norma Torres, who wants something better for Enrique Roman Martinez's family, something better for Vanessa Guillen's family, something better for Caleb Smithers, something better for Austin Hawk's family, because we've heard something better for Lavina Johnson's family. You know, she wanted something better for them. She's not getting it. She put forth all that time to get that legislation passed, to get that funding, and she's not getting what she wanted. What is mandated? What is mandated? And so we wanted her to know our experience there. So we put that in yesterday, and very interesting timing. God has very, very interesting timing, because we also responded to the outreach of Tony Gonzalez's staff. Had reached out to us. We're very thankful for that. And we asked him to inquire, to put in a letter of inquiry with Major General Eisenhower, and also a letter of inquiry to that cold case violent crimes unit there in Quantico. Put that in, right? So that all happened yesterday. It was every day is a busy day, y'all. It really is. We're working very hard behind the scenes. We don't have a big staff. We use whatever we can to help us put together these letters. And we're very grateful for the Grammarly and all of that to help us. This is so time consuming. I can't even imagine what families go through. And that's why the criminals get away with this kind of crime, and that the DOD has become so corrupt. Okay, the DOD right now has become so corrupt that just they've had to lower their standards. They can't keep the soldiers. You have the suicides, you have the drug overdoses, you have all of this stuff going on, the sexual harassment, the sexual assaults, all going on still. And they wonder why. I don't know if they wonder why. I think it's designed. At this point, I think it's designed. I think it's a designed attack on our military. Okay? So that's why we had to put in all of these inquiries, the letter responses, yada, yada, all the time, every day. And yesterday was very interesting because General McConville was right there in Fort Bliss. He was there for the Command Sergeant Major graduation, Sergeant Major Academy graduation, I believe it is. And yeah, he was there. And lo and behold, a meeting was called that afternoon by Major General Eisenhower. Interesting. Over 2.5 hours, which is interesting because this is a Friday afternoon, 2.5 hour meeting. And this is a 3-day weekend. Wow. So we have to keep going. Keep going. Because let me tell you, if General McConville had a little powwow or little meeting or, little tyrannical, these are my orders how to handle this, with General Eisenhower, and it had to do with our case. And they didn't contact us to invite us to the meeting, invite us to their little powwow, um, uh, via VTC, with all of this going on. And I know, uh, if this happened, um, I would not. I just want to say to General Eisenhower, General McConville is up to no good. Okay, he's up to no good. Are you going to be a participant of this kind of evil? I hope not. Because General McConville, his his idea of having any soldiers back is to order a stage task force find Richard Halliday meeting where the military goes out of uniform, where there is no op board, where there is no leader. He doesn't have any soldiers back. Uh, no, I would say yeah, he's up to no good. He's serving foreign and domestic enemies. He needs to be arrested. He needs to be investigated and arrested. And I can tell you right now, I would be the key witness to it. Arrested. He needs his title taken away. He needs to get that uniform off of him, get those stars off of him, because he has sold us out. And he does not have, he committed crimes against humanity. I just can't even, I can't even believe it. And when I say I'm sad about the whole thing, it's not that I don't want justice. I want justice. But it is a sad day for America that so many of our generals have sold us out. Because we've given them everything. We gave them our trust. People don't understand our family. My entire life has been go Army, praying for our Army, literally on our knee. You know, I was even president of PWOC, which is a Protestant Wives of the Chapel. We would get on our knees praying for our military. And we still do. This is why this is heartbreaking. That the very people that we entrusted with our family members, be it our husbands, be it our sons, be it our daughters, be it our wives, be it our fathers, be it our mothers, be it our grandparents. My dad. That's a long story, but um, we would do those care packages. I dressed up as a clown. I need to put up those pictures. My mom just gave me confirmation pictures. My confirmation pictures were there on Fort Bliss at the replica. I was confirmed on Fort Bliss in the chapel of Fort Bliss. Right? I was born at White Sands. Our whole life has been that. And my husband, 30-year veteran. So many, when you're a physician assistant, when you're a medic, when you're a physician assistant, the top casualties are normally chaplains and medics. So here he is deployed over and over again. The first 18 years of our daughter's life, Hannah, he was deployed. And we're praying. And we entrust our loved ones to General McConville, to General Mealy, to General Garrett, who's now retired, to Major General Eisenhower, to Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe. And I don't know about Eisenhower now. Okay? He's a flag officer. I don't know about him, but I know that those 44 four-star generals and Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe and Lieutenant General Donna Martin, they are criminals, y'all. They have betrayed us. And in the worst way. Because they pretend to be our leaders. They pretend to be our protectors. They pretend to be our defenders, the defenders of the Constitution. They take an oath to it and they're pretending. They don't even honor their oath. They pretend with this charm school that they go to care about the soldier. But it's all pretend, y'all. If COVID didn't show you that they were pretending, I don't know what will. That was crimes against humanity. They did not respect the rights of our service members and their families. They put everyone in the same bag and said, even those that had asthma had to smother their ability to breathe. That when you're in the hot desert sand, because I have pictures of him in the hot desert where the sun is the most cleansing thing. And he made them, he ordered them to smother their ability to breathe for nothing, for nothing. Not because they were in a war zone. No. No. He weakened our military. Mealy did it. McConville did it. Sean Bernabe did it. Donna Martin did it. Donna Martin contacted us the day, January 5th, and said, do not go. Why? Why can't I go to my nation's capital when I know 1 million people are going to be there and I can hand out so many flyers and so many veterans are there, so many patriots are there, and there were. And what thanks do these patriots and veterans get? They get called domestic terrorists. We were called domestic terrorists for praying for our country. We got tear gassed for praying the Lord's Prayer for our country, singing patriotic songs. They blanket through the whole media, they just made a blanket statement. These were domestic terrorists. And where was the military to stop that kind of narrative for their veterans? One being my husband, who was there. 30 years service, being called a domestic terrorist. Wanting to get answers for where his son is. That on the 3rd day of Richard's search, his search was called off. The 3rd day of his disappearance, the search for him was called off. Why do we know that? Because nothing was done. Nothing. And when you get, and don't tell me, oh, this is pre-Vanessa Guillen and they don't really look for AWOL soldiers. Let me tell you that, do not believe that narrative. They absolutely have to call family. They absolutely have to notify the El Paso Police Department or the local, the border protectors. They absolutely have to care about our soldiers that are missing. They absolutely have to look at CCTV footage. They absolutely, and they called off his search. They called it off without even contacting family. And do not tell me, oh, it was because of some DD whatever. No. If you're in a car accident, they don't say, oh, well, did you write down the name of the next of kin so I could call it? No, they contact the military police there in El Paso, on Fort Bliss, or even the Red Cross, and say, get in touch with this person's family. Because we have something called family law. Respect for service members' family, next of kin. That did not happen. It took less than 1 minute. Less than 1 minute. Even Special Agent Soto said it. There was no excuse. Somebody called off Richard's search. And they colluded and conspired. They colluded and conspired. How do I know that? Because I have Jay Pollin's statements that are, let me tell you, they are the biggest words of collusion and conspiracy you could imagine. It's huge. Go read it. I've posted it. It's no mystery. And as time went by, it just got worse and worse. Because he was Richard's first sergeant. Michael Ruggiero was Richard's first sergeant. Michael Ruggiero, he just refused to even engage, refused to talk with us. But Jay Paulin, he had a lot of words to say, and they weren't good, y'all. They weren't good at all. Being, is Richard's life more valuable than mine? What does that mean? That Richard's dead? And then our Haley Separatio, and the only person that we have connected with Haley Separatio, which is a fake account, is our casualty affairs officer, right? Our liaison, who says, thank you for your sacrifice, or, yeah. Or I'm sorry for your loss. Wow. Wow. I know. I'm going to read your comments now. I'm sorry. What agency knew that the apprehension team was coming to your house? Who sent the email? Was it a friend or someone possible involved in the disappearance of Richard? They said it came from St. Louis. Well, I know when I pay taxes, it goes to St. Louis, right? Okay. Or what agency was dispatching officials to your house? Well, it was the Sarasota sheriffs that got some kind of email from St. Louis. They need a warrant with a judge signature. Yep. I know you're limited on what they're releasing. Yep. Shared live to many groups. Thank you so much, Kat. Thank you so much. Find Richard Halliday, USA military. Yeah. 15 months is pure negligence, in my opinion. Absolutely. 15 months of doing nothing. Doing nothing. Records of the interview that happened between the Dollar General man and CID. Absolutely. And don't call him Dollar General man. Call him FBI man. I really been thinking about that. He associated himself with the FBI. He told her he is with the FBI. He's FBI man. He didn't work at Dollar General. He is the FBI man. And that is really important, I think, to make clear to everybody that he said, um, he has two major connections with the FBI and with Lieutenant Colonel Bugado of the G3 of 32nd AdCom. That's huge. That is huge. And he says they found Richard's remains in Juarez, Mexico. Now, that it didn't end there because we called as soon as we heard that we called our point of contact. Rob was given the card of a point of contact there at the State Department in Juarez, Mexico. We called him up. He confirmed that the FBI was indeed, and even Sammy, um, I believe Sammy, uh, found out that the FBI were indeed looking for uh, Richard's remains in Mexico. In Mexico. Oh, it's fine. In my opinion, I truly am starting to believe that the military leader above Richard in rank was involved, and that's why your son home is missing. And I truly believe it was a higher rank that got Richard missing. Absolutely. Well, we put in a criminal complaint for um, the forced disappearance, the conspiracy, and the murder of Richard. We put that in. So that's our number one suspect. We have several suspects, and we'll see. We'll see. Um, but we have to lay the groundwork, and I want moms to understand this. And when I'm talking to moms, I'm talking to mothers of missing, murdered, and maligned soldiers. That's who I'm talking to here. And I want them to understand something that we've learned. And this is not just for moms. If you're an aunt, if you're a father, if you want to join moms, absolutely. Um, but what we've learned through all of this is that you have to lay down the groundwork, okay? And do not get discouraged when they mislead you, when they don't answer you, you've just got to keep laying down the groundwork. And because here we have letters to Veronica Escobar. She's totally ignored us. Letters to our representative, William Timmons. He's ignored us. We have letters to our Senator Graham, who, he's all about the military, and he totally ignored. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. It's all about contracts with him. That's my opinion. And so we wrote, of course, Senator Cruz. He wrote a beautiful letter for us, but he got flipped off. So that revealed that they don't even have the power that you think that they have, because he got flipped off by the Secretary of the Army, who's 23 ranks lower than he is. She is his subordinate. So Christine Warmouth is Senator Cruz's subordinate, but she gets to flip him off, right? He does this beautiful letter, and so if he runs for president, for senator, they don't even have the power. And what that told us is that the stories about Mealy not obeying the commander in chief at the time, that's what this was so important. We needed to look into it. And here they had hearings that the DOD was not listening and obeying the orders from the commander in chief. So Mealy was not following orders. And isn't it crazy that when we got to El Paso, the big talk was Richard did not follow general orders. And then they go, oh, no, 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 it wasn't that. It wasn't that. He did not do the COVID thing. No, 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 that wasn't that. He did not follow his battery commander's order. That's what it was. They, at day, what, 50 something, they still did not know why they totally retaliated against Richard, destroyed him, uh, you know, if it was legitimate. It wasn't legitimate. They didn't even know. So that clearly told us that it was a retaliation for something else, and they did not tell us he was a whistleblower. That's another thing. So we're going, why is this happening? Why did they have it in for Richard? Right? Because it sure wasn't for disobeying battery commander's order or general order or COVID or whatever. He did all of that perfectly. He did all of that perfectly. It was on a Saturday. He went on a drive all by himself to go and shoot a weapon. They had this big mess of a traffic construction area. He self-reported at the border. Why did CID tell the border patrol to arrest Richard, to shackle him, to take his car away and impound his car? Then they gave him a field grade Article 15 after they already had given him a GOMAR, made the GOMAR permanent. Are you crazy? This was such a retaliation. So why would CID do that? Well, who was the CID guy? Tavita Nusa? Was it Ron Steig? Who in there was conflict of interest, right? So we need to know, because the whistleblowing is a very major part of this case, because it shows motive. Motive for the retaliation, motive for any kind of harm that they did to Richard, and for his murder. And that's why this is so important. So it is very, very important. And I just want to know what's in the CPS complaint. Why is it being kept from us for 2 years, 3 years? And why did CID Special Agent Soto not tell us why the IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday? It wasn't because he made an IG complaint. They told us that. And we're like, then why? Because we have all these reports that the IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday. It was because he made a CID complaint. So why didn't Soto tell us that? Why? Was it because he's covering up for his friend Tavita Nusa? Was Ron Steig involved in this? There's conflict of interest. Is Ron Steig trying to cover up for Jay Pollan? Is Tavita Nusa trying to cover up for Dallas Hart or Leilani Hart? Who's all involved in this? And if that motive is set, and they did torture Richard, and they did brutally murder Richard, and they did dismember him, and they did put him in different areas, we need to know. We need to know this, because then there was no probable cause to search our house, because they knew that they already had his remains. There was then no probable cause to arrest him because they knew he was dead. And it's all a show and a cover-up. Now, why doesn't General McConville want to get to the bottom of this and have a press conference? Why doesn't he want to have the Army, if Delta Battery 143, if Fort Bliss did their job in all of this, and this retaliation is not, what what we think it is, Team Find Richard Halliday. Where are the press conferences? Where is the media to cover to show what really happened? I I I'm waiting. I'm willing. I'm wanting to hear all of this. But, silence. Silence. And General McConville had the perfect opportunity yesterday morning. He was there. But no, the General Eisenhower calls a 2.5 hour meeting on a Friday afternoon after General McConville leaves again. Uh, I'm sorry, but I am so suspicious of that whole thing. Because, yeah, I'll read his remarks after this. Um, Thank you so much, Kat. What agency? Yeah. 15 months is pure negligence. Yeah, I read that. In my opinion, I truly am starting to believe, yeah. Okay, thank you so much. I read that. Thank you so much, everybody. It's really important that we have a public affairs officer. I think Team Five Richard Halliday needs to be that public affairs officer. Um, what else did I want to share today? The cooperation that we showed to the fugitive apprehension unit. I wanted to mention that because if you didn't cooperate, they were there to apprehend. So you cooperate or you get arrested, right? I mean that was clear. They're an assault unit. So these narratives coming out, um, yeah. The other thing is, it we called the El Paso police. Well, Rob called the El Paso police, and they said they didn't have jurisdiction. But the El Paso police could have assigned a detective, gathered information. They could have helped us. I don't understand um, why the Army didn't want them to do that in the case of Richard. There's a lot that the El Paso Police Department could have done to help us. And why, did the CID tell them they couldn't? Because that's what they told us. The CID's got this. But everything that I read is that the cooperation that we showed the Fugitive Apprehension Group is also the cooperation that CID should have with the El Paso Police Department, with the Border Protectors, with the U.S. Marshals. They should all be involved. That's why there was this fake stage task force Find Richard Halliday with 15 plus agencies, with ATF, right? Because ATF was there, so somehow weapons were involved in this. Yeah, they were never tasked. No, they were never tasked. Nothing. There was no op board. You can't task anyone if you don't give them an order. If you don't organize the tasks, that you don't have any kind of operation. There was nothing for Task Force Find Richard Halliday. It was a staged event, and that was it. And General McConville, we were on the phone with him. He put that together. He, gave us the whole charm school talk while betraying us. So I don't have. I'm so kind to him. You know, um, I wish. I don't even know if I should say it. Anyway, I'm very kind to General McConville, and I wish that he was absolutely arrested and totally defrocked. Take that beautiful uniform off of that criminal man. Okay? Take it off. Take away every star, every stripe. Don't give him anything. No privileges. He totally betrayed every privilege we gave him, every trust that we gave him. And the same thing with Mealy, and the same thing with Donna Martin, the same thing with poor Fort Hood. What's the new name for Fort Hood now? For Cavazos. If I was that family, I would say, get my name off of that installation. I don't want it. Because it's not genuine. It's not a genuine change. You just appointed Sean Bernabe to be the leader of Fort Hood, Fort Cavazos, which means you're not genuine. You have no real interest in changing anything. That's why we had to write Representative Norma Torres to let her know that the Army has the Pentagon, who the SJA's answer to, that we were trying to get information, that we're trying to get information from, that they have no intention. There's no real intention, no genuine intention to change anything, to do any good. All they want to do is harm. They're up to no good. And all they want is war. War even when there's peace possible. And peace is possible. And, we've had our belly full of war. And it's destroyed our country. And for trillions of dollars, what do we've got for it? A lot of injured service members. A lot of maimed service members. We don't have good roads. We don't have a good economy. We don't have good health care. No, we have crimes against humanity. And I'm not saying that all of it's bad. I'm saying for the trillions of dollars, we should have a beautiful, beautiful, star fort type of Tartarian, what everyone's talking about right now. Everyone's talking about Tartaria, the history of Tartaria, and star forts, and all of this free energy and all this stuff. We should have a little bit of that for trillions of dollars. Because if they could have done it way back when, right? Because we know we have star forts all over the world. Where is our beautiful architecture? Where is our beautiful ports and cathedrals and all these beautiful things that we can build, that we can use to better our society, our communities? And I know I'm on a soapbox right now with that, but it's absolutely the truth. If we have 44 four-star generals, we only had 7 during World War II. If we have 44, where is the fruit? We don't. We just have rottenness. We've entrusted to them trillions and trillions of dollars, and they've betrayed us. We've entrusted into them our volunteer sons and daughters, and they've betrayed us. We've entrusted to them our veterans, and they've betrayed us. Matter of fact, they call us domestic terrorists. And, wowzer. So, and I'm being easy right now. I'm being so easy. For the level of crimes that they've committed just in the sex cults, I'm being easy. And that's why this is so important to get out. Where is Richard? What happened to Richard? That they would go to this kind of extremes. this kind of psychological warfare, asymmetric warfare tactics, military operations on the family, and even betray and violate our civil rights. And you know they did it to Richard, and more and worse. Where is he? You know, it's all very, very bad. If it wasn't so bad, why is it so bad? Because it's very bad. And so that means something very bad happened to Richard. Because if something very bad didn't happen to Richard, why is this so bad? All right. Y'all, I will be back tomorrow. God willing. Thank you so much. And God bless you. And, you know, it's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. I miss my dad. I miss my dad. This is my first Father's Day without my dad. Um, yeah, R.I.P. Dad. It's about esprit de corps. Esprit de corps, Pat. They had no esprit de corps. There's a problem with esprit de corps. If there's a problem with esprit de corps, then they're up to no good. They're up to no good if there's no esprit de corps. That's what he kept telling me. And he was right. All right, Dad. Happy Father's Day in heaven. And happy Father's Day to my beautiful, wonderful, uh, extremely patient husband. Um, that I always say, you got no patience. But at the end of the day, he's got extreme patience. Happy Father's Day to my son in laws, wonderful fathers of my grandbabies. Um, Happy Father's Day to all those fathers out there. Stay, stay proud of being a father. Be happy, enjoy it, enjoy your day. Um, yeah, we love you, and thank you so much, everyone. And I will be back.